This video was supported by my Patreons. Check out how you can support my channel and request ideas for videos, reviews and topics to talk about on the Fleming Film Show down in the description.
We really should stop this fighting, otherwise we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy. He can't feel the neck.
The dictionary defines the word sequel as a published or recorded work that continues the story or carries on the themes of the earlier work.
I'm sure you knew it would be someone in time. I'm sorry it had to be me.
Good as any.
Now, if you don't mind, if you could just look up and to the left, please.
The first film sequel was made in 1916 and it was called Fall of a Nation. This was a sequel to the 1915 film Birth of a Nation. Many of my favourite film sequels over the years have been The Empire Strikes Back, Toy Story 2, Paddington 2, The Godfather Part 2, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Shrek 2, Spider-Man 2, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Blade Runner 2049 and my favourite sequel of all time, The Dark Knight. In this episode I am going to be explaining the points that make some sequels great and others not so great. The story must have a strong continuation over the first film and should also develop more of the story whilst building up more settings, themes and characters. Take Shrek 2 for example. Shrek is taking out his comfort zone of the swamp to the kingdom of far, far away, for him to continue his journey from the first film. This helps Shrek build as a character and making him a much more stronger protagonist. Another example of this is Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where the focus is off Sarah Connor and onto young John Connor as a boy, while the Terminator returning to protect him from a much more dangerous threat. This helps continue the story on quite well, but also helps build onto a much more different protagonist. The Godfather Part 2 is one of the best sequels in terms of writing because of its unique way of storytelling. The film serves as both a sequel and a prequel to the first film and is also split into two different timelines. The first storyline is set in the present day where Michael Corleone continues his story as the new mafia don, while in the past, the other timeline of the film, shows his father Vito's journey to America and rising to be one of the most powerful mob bosses in New York. This is a much more interesting approach to a sequel because it shows both the events before and after the first Godfather film and also helps expand on Vito and Michael as characters. Not many sequels have taken the same approach as this one has, but even if they haven't even come as close to near The Godfather Part 2. This is the best film in the franchise. Some sequels have introduced us to the most iconic characters ever to hit the silver screen. Take Toy Story 2 for example, that introduces Jessie and Bullseye, two fan favourite characters to Pixar and Toy Story fans.
I don't know,
Wouldn't you give anything just to have one more day with Emily?
Yoda, another fan favourite character from the Star Wars franchise, is introduced in Empire Strikes Back. His role is to follow on from Dan and teach Luke the ways of the Force so Luke can help his friends later on in the film. And finally there's Puss in Boots, my favourite character in the Shrek franchise, He was introduced in Shrek 2.
Fear me if you dare.
Hey, look, a little cat.
Look out, Shrek! You got a piece!
It's a cat, donkey. Come here, little kitty, kitty, kitty. Come on, little kitty. Come here. Oh, come here, little kitty.
Oh, Shrek, I'm coming! Come on! Oh, get it off! Oh, get it off! Oh, come on! No! Oh! Ah! Look out, Shrek! Oh, get it off! Hold still! Shrek, hold still! Ooh! Ooh! Did I miss?
No, you got them.
Now, ye augur, pray for mercy from Puss in Woods.
He is first portrayed as a badass anti-hero who is hired by King Harold to kill Shrek, but later he changes heart and decides to help Shrek and Donkey on their quest. An introduction to a new character can certainly add some dynamic to a sequel, and see how these characters interact with the protagonist for the first time. Take the Joker from The Dark Knight for instance, because he is more of a threat to Gotham. It's up to Batman to stop the Joker without having to resort to get into his level.
That's a lot of money. If this Joker guy was so smart, he'd have had us bring a bigger car. I'm betting the Joker told you to kill me as soon as we loaded the cash.
No. I killed the bus driver.
Bus driver? What bus driver?
Paddington 2 is another example of this, with Hugh Grant's character, Phoenix Buchanan, being a much stronger and sinister antagonist compared to the antagonist in the first film. An important aspect to a sequel is that the stakes always must be bigger. It's important you see these characters go through these different challenges and threats in order for the story to develop and unravel. So if they have won the first time, they could potentially lose the second time round. Star Wars for example, Luke Skywalker defeats the Empire and blows up the Death Star in A New Hope, but in Empire he loses both his friends and his first fight between Darth Vader. This shows that in the third film they have to rise up the stakes in order to beat the Empire once again. Another great example of this is The Dark Knight. Batman defeats Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins, which restores peace to Gotham years later. But when the Joker comes in, he is a new threat to Gotham, and Batman tries so hard to defeat him without having to resort to his level.
You just couldn't let me go, could you? This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. You truly are incorruptible, aren't you? What did you do? I took Gotham's White Knight and I brought him down to our level. It wasn't hard. See, madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
After losing Rachel and Harvey's accident turning him into Two-Face, Batman must try harder to defeat the Joker. Unfortunately, this goes wrong because Batman doesn't win in the end, and he must go into exile. Otherwise, if the public found about Harvey's crimes, and the gangsters and the Joker win.
What you give us of fixing our city dies with Harvey's reputation. We bet it all on him. The Joker took the best of us and tore him down. People will lose hope.
They won't. They must never know what he did.
5 dead. 2 of them cops. You can't sweep that.
But the Joker cannot win.
This has also go the opposite way as well. Take Rocky for instance. Rocky loses the big fight at the end of the first film to Apollo Creed. So he has to win the fight in the second film against Apollo Creed. Otherwise we'll be watching a franchise about a terrible boxer. Some sequels look better visually compared to the first film because of how much more of a budget's been put into the second one, or how much more effort's been put into it as well. Take The Dark Knight for instance. The directing's better, the acting's better, the cinematography is better, and the score from Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard is so much better than the one from Batman Begins. Two Judgment Day is another example of this because of how much better the effects are in Terminator 2 compared to the outdated effects from the first Terminator film. Blade Runner 2049 is also a big improvement over the first Blade Runner film because of how modern day effects and cinematography work well with the Blade Runner concept. So it was perfect for them to make a sequel for modern day. A bad sequel can depend on multiple factors of a film. It could be that the plot develops no further, the characters, the new ones, are introduced badly, there are new villains but they're very underdeveloped, and the protagonist has no further arc. Also, the inclusion gets wrapped up perfectly and it ruins the entire franchise altogether. Common film elements are very vital to these sequels I'm going to mention, and I'm going to mention them all together because I don't want to go into them too much in depth because they will piss me off. My least favourite film sequels are Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, For the Dark World, Frozen 2, Dumb and Dumber 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, The Matrix Reloaded, and Now You See Me 2. These films didn't work for me because they felt unnecessary to the plot and just shouldn't have been made. I could have spent hours watching much better films. These sequels don't even come close to the first film and aren't unique or special. It just kind of feels like the writers did not know what they were doing, so they were lazy and repeated the same thing over and over again. And it also gets boring as well. Don't bore me. Do not bore me. When it comes to sequels, I want the writers and directors to improve and make something that's more unique compared to the first film. I don't want to see the same thing over and over again that will bore me just to the writers and production company to earn a few dollars. If you plan to make a sequel, make it like The Dark Knight. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you check out my other platforms including Robbie's Reviews, that's www.robbiesreviews.co.uk, for written reviews every day. Also check out my podcast, The Fleming Film Show. In my most recent episode I discussed The Departed. Make sure you check that one out. Also don't forget to visit my Patreon page if you want to help support my work. You can donate as little as £2 and you'll receive great benefits, including Q&As and requesting what reviews I do for the website and for here. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the video and leave a comment about your favourite sequels. And don't forget to ring the bell for the notification if you want to be notified for more videos. Check out next week's video where I'll be reviewing the 90s classic, The Big Lebowski. I just want to thank you guys again for watching. I also want to thank Charlotte and Chris for being my crew and Ben and Shaw for supporting my Patreon. Bye bye. Have some advice. Well, no, wait, let me do it one more time. Let me do it one more time. Don't do it.
Still recording though.
I know, I want to record. It helps Chris edit it a bit better.